What's the worst thing about living in a small town? Farm vehicles that slow traffic to a near standstill, creating the very gridlock you were sure you would avoid by leaving city life. Other than that, there's only one thing worse. Raising a female teenager in a way that prevents her from seeing schoolwork as a mere suggestion and endlessly hanging out with friends as crucial to her very survival. If you ever open a window in your home or car while interacting with your adolescent daughter during this period, especially to reiterate how important it is to plan for higher education and make those SAT scores sizzle, trust me, you'll soon be town grist for the gossip mill. You will have everything the grapevine could want: drama, pathos, a young victim, a warrior, and non-stop combat over curfews, car keys, and most of all, the importance of college prep. That last part may get you labeled as an utter snob by some, and in many ways, it will be true, relatively speaking. For former city folk like us, high school was viewed as a prelude to the educational experience that I, for one, think everyone deserves: college. In my not-so-distant suburban past, I attended school open houses held for the sole purpose of informing me how many AP classes my children would need, the grades they should attain, and the extra activities they needed to help ensure their entrance into the university of their choice. Some other parent was always raising a hand to demand, "How can I get my son or daughter into a fill-in-the-blank with a prestige university?" That was high school as I knew it. But in a small town, high school is something aside from, and often much more than, 4 years. It is a final rite of passage into adulthood, the last chance for shared times as freedom rings. Not everyone expects to head off for a degree in a dorm room. I was stunned to see a whole lot more people at football games than at back-to-school nights. And in certain ways, that turns high school into the kind of transitional life adventure for many that someone like me associates only with college. So every time my daughter was caught hanging out with friends when I thought she should have been home doing homework, her need for collegiate plans got called out, sometimes at the top of my lungs. I learned to measure my days in the tally of eye rolls, hastily shut doors, and long, gasping sighs. A day without a house-shaking slam of her bedroom door was a good one. I can honestly say the day that she got that fat envelope from a college back east, her first and truthfully only choice, was one of the happiest days of my life. And it was topped only by watching her stride across a stage 4 years later in cap and gown after tennis great Billie Jean King exhorted them all to go out and meet their destiny. It was only after I took time to reflect on my daughter's academic life that I began to realize it wasn't just hers, nor did it belong to any one individual. It was partly her high school math teacher who told me she'd be okay, just let her make friends. It was partly her high school science teacher who told her I was only looking out for her best interests. It was partly her high school swim coach who named her most valuable player. It was the high school faculty who voted her as one of the 3 most outstanding seniors, despite her intrusive mother, who was so sure that everything hinged on those grades. And now I feel badly looking back, because I was a snootful. I know this now because in Oregon there has been a recent move to make community college tuition-free for kids who are in good academic standing. And so many have told me this means they have a real shot at college, and they are studying hard to clinch that opportunity where they can save money by living at home and getting state-paid tuition. It is said that life is lived by moving forward, but that it can only be understood by looking back. I see my daughter in those days, in a new high school, struggling to fit in and gain acceptance, and in doing so, getting a grittier spirit. I remember saying way too often in front of her peers that she was headed off to college no matter what, without stopping to ask a few who disparaged the idea if they truly felt it was a waste of time or were just saying so. I took it for granted that everyone shares the same dream because to me, it seemed within such easy reach. I never saw myself or my daughter as part of a privileged class, but now I do. And I wonder if the grit my daughter found to navigate and finish college can be found not in my helicoptering behavior, but in her striving so hard to make a new place for herself, not to give up on finding friends, and to seek the safe scaffolding of some very fine teachers. And for all the high school graduates headed off to community college this year, allow me to salute you and to apologize. I was a snob, not intentionally, of course, but I deserved the term elitist. This was just one of the many lessons I learned from my small town.